No, this is still the same day.
Well, they had to, right? She only gave him an hour. I did a little research. I looked into those special cyclocks you mentioned, Mr. Nick.
You did? That's great. I really appreciate it.
A red cyclock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If the person falls under questioning, the lock breaks and the truth comes out.
Yep, that's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos.
But a black cyclock protects a secret from the deepest place in a person's heart. A secret that a person isn't even consciously aware of. So even they don't know it's...
So they don't even know it's...
Dang it. That's my first time today. Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose.
We're just reading each other's lines at this point.
Singular for me. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself.
Do we really want to go through all the times you've taken my line through the entire run?
If you're the first one to read one line completely and then press the dialogue button and go to the second line.
Well, you can't do that physically. You would have done it multiple times if you were in control, sir. Okay, so all I have to do is break the cyclocks.
According to my research, a black cyclock is like a heavy chain wrapped directly around one's heart. If they are ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul.
In other words, if I'm not careful, I can traumatize Athena for good. Oh. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such heavy burden.
Alright, but will you be alright by yourself, Mr. Nick?
I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this trial all my focus and strength.
And you can't do that if I'm there. I'll just hold you back.
No, that's not it. It just meant I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls.
Alright. I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick.
Hey, Pearls, can you summon a spirit of Athena's mom?
I was thinking that, honestly.
Like, can we also, just have Pearls summon Clay, too? Like, maybe Clay saw something. Good. Now that my mind's at ease, I'd better get ready. I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. Time to end this nightmare that started 7 years ago. Defense, prosecution, and judge. There are even people in the gallery. Why are people in the gallery? The roof has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this ruin is my battleground. How is he not in a different trial at the moment?
Court, or some facsimile of thereof, is now in session at the trial of Athena Sykes. Not a facsimile, old man. This is a proper, official trial. Take this more seriously, or you'll start hearing the bones of the hostages snap.
Please try to not upset Miss Blackwell. I'm begging you.
Court is now in session for the very serious and very proper trial of Athena Sykes. Oh, there he is in all his splendor and glory.
This is no trial. It's nothing more than a ridiculous farce.
What did you say?
Edgeworth, did you not hear what I just said to his honor? However, this ridiculous farce has a very important meaning to our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident, in which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. That case ushered in the odious dark age of law.
I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind the case today,
Precisely. The darkness will be dispelled, and the glory shall be restored to our court system.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, you sound as if you know something of this truth.
I do indeed. A new suspect has emerged in the UR1 incident. For the 7 years, Simon Blackwell has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else. Yeah, brace yourself, Phoenix. Obviously, Edgeworth has to say it's Athena. I'm sorry, Ray, but the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. This prosecution moves to indict Miss Athena Sykes on account of murder in the first degree. So how is his case going to work here?
Wind blowing, chilling
Regardless
outside.
the circumstance, I intend to question the defendant with all I have. For that is a part of my creed.
Then you'd better bring it.
If the two of you are ready. Court is now in session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Your Honor, the defense was born ready.
The prosecution is also ready.
This immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. It is my duty to clear Prosecutor Blackwell of false accusations and end this insanity. But I have no intention of losing Sykes either. She's a very promising young lawyer. No, without a doubt that Athena is innocent. But I don't think Prosecutor Blackwell did either. So. Okay, so yeah, this is just a conversation from before. Spy. If the spy is not Aura, who could it be? It has to be. There's no way it's someone we know at this point, right? It could be just.
My bets are on Clay Turan.
Oh no. Then who killed Clay?
I think. I honestly feel like a robot did both.
A robot wouldn't leave fingerprints, really.
But all they have to do is press a button.
But also, someone had to program the robot to attack as well. But that would put it back at Aura, in a way, because Aura's the one that has access to that.
Mind you, there's a whole heartbeat sensor thing going on, right? So, if they're registered, they're in an astronaut suit. Maybe something was blocking the heartbeat sensor. And they just took a stab.
It's going to be hard to convince anyone that when I barely believe in myself. I don't have a choice if I want to save Athena and Blackwell and expose the spy.
Now then, Chief Prosecutor Edgeworth.
No need for Chief Prosecutor, Bit, Your Honor. I'm here simply as a prosecutor.
Very well, your opening statement, please. Prosecutor Edgeworth? Although I've known of late to give an impressive opening statement myself.
In all trials I have been ever seen, only the prosecutor gives an opening statement.
Oh, of course, you're right. I was just joking. Just having a little fun.
Dang it, Judge.
Blackwell, please.
So he wasn't doing them just out of fear? Interesting. Let's start with a brief overview of the UR1 incident. The incident occurred in Cosmos Space Center 7 years ago on October 7th. The victim, psychologist Metis Sykes, was killed on a robotics lab on the 4th floor. Athena's mother. Simon Blackwell, a young prosecutor at the time, was found guilty of the crime. There were two deciding factors that led to his guilty verdict. One, Blackwell was the only person in the corridor to the lab at the time of the murder. And two, his photo which captured the moment of the crime. The moment.
Very incriminating evidence indeed.
So how does this get turned on Athena then? Like, how does Edgeworth spin this?
I think he's gonna say the robot did it. I think that's in his mind. It would appear that the only conclusion is that Prosecutor Blackwell did indeed. Are you kidding me? I'm not accepting any conclusion of the kind. This opening statement is over. Now hurry up and call the witness. Excuse me, Miss Blackwell, but we must follow proper procedure for these things, you know?
Or perhaps we should heed her wishes, Your Honor. She's the trial sponsor, after all. Besides, the courtroom is chilly, and sitting for too long can't be good for your back.
Oh, you're very kind to show such concern for the welfare of the elderly.
Skilled as ever, playing the court puppeteer, I see. The prosecution calls its first witness. A witness who decided to bring forth new testimonies after 7 long years.
Intonate.
New testimony after 7 years. We don't know Ted has a connection to 7 years ago.
But he's the one who brought a new opinion with it.
Yeah, but Ted's comments weren't about 7 years ago at all. It was only about the new bombing. We'll see what happens.
Then it's either Blackwell or Athena. Never mind.
Bobby Full Bronson name. In Justice We Trust.
And Shiro's doing more voices.
What are you doing here? I'm just here to speak for the hostage taker, Miss Orr Blackwell. She said she's too busy with confining all and threatening all the hostages and all. That doesn't seem to stop her from constantly chiming in through Clonko.
I'm nothing more than an observer at this. Do your best. I'm watching you.
Believing her brother innocent, Miss Blackwell has conducted her own investigation. And through her current actions are hardly, and though her actions are unlawful, I think we can at least hear her story. Hear her theory. I have here Miss Blackwell's notes on the investigation she conducted. And I'll be giving testimony based on these notes here. Here I go. Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone. Someone else was at the scene at the time they say Simon committed the murder. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case? Because he was using it to hide someone inside. That's why. You know, the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Sachs.
The rolling case isn't there in the photo.
One is missing. But that's something the culprit could have just taken away.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You see that?
The tools?
There's red on
Yeah,
them.
there's one red on 2 of them.
Yeah, there's red on them. What the heck? Why is there blood on those? That's blood. Wait. Kind of looks like there's an empty slot.
That's what I meant. There's one missing.
There's one. Yeah, there's one missing. And 2 of them look like they have blood on it. Could this knife be from that box?
Nah, it's a different color.
Who knows? That's Miss Blackwell's theory. It totally goes in the face of an official ruling, huh? About the case she mentions, there were rolling cases like that and that one in the lab. But they're not for traveling. They're apparently for moving parts of it in equipment. I vaguely remember seeing 3 cases, all different sizes. At the last trial, they saw Prosecutor Blackwell use the case to steal the rock. They had a perfect good reason to think that, too. He used a security camera in the corridor that leads to the robotics lab. That camera captured footage of Blackwell leaving with the scene, the case. I can see why the footage helped to bring his trial to a quick end. It's very convincing, that's for sure. That case,
Can I see that photo again?
the one they just showed.
Yeah. Hmm.
We don't see his face. That can't be confirmed to be him. Lol.
We don't see his face there either.
Well, there's kind of that's like that's the square on here doesn't have a mark. The one on the other one did. That case, by the way, was later discovered outside the Space Center grounds. Speaking of after the incident, where was the defendant Athena Sykes found? She was found on the 5th floor of the Space Center in the Sykes family residence. Prosecutor Blackwell most likely brought her there after the incident. In addition, it's unknown where Miss Sykes was at the estimated time of death. Miss Sykes was too confused by the shock of her mother's death to give proper testimony. There was no witness or evidence to tell us where she might have been. So what you're saying is Miss Sykes didn't have an alibi. That is what the evidence is saying, yes.
I understand the reasoning behind the theory, but I'm far from convinced. The victim is the accused mother. Are you actually claiming an 11-year-old girl?
Of course, that girl had a very strong motive. Dr. Sachs was a psychologist who wrote many papers about speech and emotion. You're aware of Athena Sachs' special ability, aren't you, Your Honor?
Are you referring to the therapy thing? Yeah, she's done it quite a few times in court.
The ability to read emotions from speech, and the subject of her mother's research.
Well, as long as it benefits society, I don't see any particular problem researching it.
I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit. Dr. Sykes was so intent on her research, she found her daughter to undergo an experiment. Forced her daughter to undergo experiments.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you seriously suggesting?
I've done my best to be delicate, but even when you can't deny it to be true, Mr. Wright. No longer able to withstand the anguish of the experiments, Miss Sykes felt her only choice was to kill her own mother. Ah!
Order. Order in the court. What a tragic story. I hardly want to believe it myself. But we must proceed. Mr. Wright, if you could. Detective Fulbright, please refer to the notes.
Let's start pressing all of them.
Hold it!
Prosecutor Black will willingly accepted a death sentence to protect someone else. Yes, that's precisely why what Miss Blackwell appears to believe. And that is what I believe as well. Prosecutor Blackwell is no murderer, Mr. Wright. But a scene of sex certainly didn't kill anyone either, Mr. Edgeworth. So it appears neither of us can afford to go easy on the other. Fine. I expect no less.
Oh, I remember the tense atmosphere. It's so invigorating.
I'm only reading notes here. Yeah, I feel extra invigorated too. So let's keep going.
Hold it!
But that's just speculation.
Objection!
No,
Silence.
no, Miss
Sorry.
Blackwell has a proper grounds for her claim.
Objection!
Then why didn't you say so in the first place?
Objection!
You're the one who screamed, "Hold it," and cut me off. Fine, so maybe I jumped the gun by a teeny-weeny bit. Now I know what they mean when they're close enough to argue. Moving on.
Hold it!
This rolling case. I suppose you mean the one that existed in a photo with Prosecutor Blackwell in it. But was absent when the crime photo were taken. Yes, that's the one. And Miss Blackwell has drawn a conclusion from these two photos. She has? And what is that conclusion? You're the one with her notes. Oh, right. Of course. Reading them now. So why the rolling case? Oh.
Hold it!
And how do you propose he hit a person inside one of those cases? Have you forgotten that we just saw such a thing only the other day? At your own daughter's magic show. She fit a grown person into a small box.
You watched their magic show?
Apparently. Yeah. Way to ruin a good memory of a good day.
A magic show? I wish you would have thought to invite me.
Actually, I would have liked to go too. My apologies. I'll let you both next time, I promise. So, wait a minute. What were we talking about again? Prosecutor Blackwell was using the case to hide someone.
Hold it!
There's nothing more than conjecture, and it's hardly the only possibility. In that case, what do you think Prosecutor Blackwell had in that case? I think it was the moon rock.
Objection!
There were 3 cases at the same, but Prosecutor Blackwell used the largest one. The moon rock was egg-shaped and only about 8 inches in diameter. It would have made any sense to use the largest case there just to move the rock.
Objection!
Be that as it may, it doesn't prove Miss Sykes was inside. Then let me ask you this. Can you come up with a better theory of what was in the case?
Well, Mr. Wright, can you?
Yikes, give a guy time to think. Let's see. Should I try to bluff my way through what could have happened in that case? We're probably gonna bluff. What could he have had in that case?
The coat, or what do you think?
The arm! It's gone! It's
Which
not
arm?
the arm that was on the table. It's
if-
gone. The screwdriver's gone too.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I know exactly what Prosecutor Blackwell carried from the scene. Just had to find something else that was missing, right? No sweat.
Oh, I'd be very interested in hearing your theory, if it's true, that is.
This is a crime scene photo taken after Prosecutor Blackwell left, correct? All we have to do is compare this with this photo of Prosecutor Blackwell to see what's missing. If he took something with him, then it should be in one of these photos. Lady Luck, don't fail me now.
All right then, Mr. Wright, let us hear your theory. What did Prosecutor Blackwell take from the scene of the murder?
Take that!
Please notice that there is a robotic part on the top of the cart in this photo. However, in this photo taken after the crime, the robot part is gone. In other words, this part is something that was taken from the scene of the crime.
You do appear to be right. I don't see it in the second picture.
But it's just a piece of junk. How important could it be? Is it really just an insignificant robot part? Speaking of which...
What are you looking at? I'm going to start charging for each glance per eyeball.
Stingy. What happened to the age of free previews? Your Honor, about this robotic part. Doesn't it look like it could be the arm from that robot there?
Well, now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? But the case is still too big to be practical for just a moon rock and a robot arm.
Was it really just one arm that was there? If it wasn't Athena in the case, then maybe it was the whole robot. I believe there was another robot at the scene that looks just like the one here. Your Honor, it is the defense's assertion that it was the other robot that was in the case.
What?
The robot's on a milk crate.
Objection!
We can't be certain that part belongs to a robot. Yes, it does look like the arm of one before us, but it could be something else entirely. Nope, we have proof. Besides, it's wrapped entirely in bandaging, making it difficult to verify what it is.
Objection!
I know for a fact that it's a robot arm. I can't even tell which robot it belonged to, just by looking at it. With this information, we can investigate whether it was there at the time or not.
But, Mr. Wright, I thought you were more of this technologically illiterate type. Why did you become such an expert? I feel somehow abandoned.
Not to worry, Your Honor. I still know next to nothing about machines. But I know this piece of evidence proved which robot the arm belonged to.
Take that!
The robot in this picture is named Ponko. Take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that.
You must have thought the machines heal in the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild.
The robot arm at the crime scene has the same bandage wrapping around it. In other words, the robot arm could belong to none other than Ponko.
Order in the court. Order, I say. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you have to say to this?
I concede that the robot is about the same size as a child, but it cannot grab its knees and curl itself into a ball. Even if it were the largest of cases, the robot couldn't have possibly fit in there.
The case does come about mid-thigh on Prosecutor Blackwell. I see your point. This robot is much taller than that.
You've got me there. So the Prosecutor Blackwell would make fit by dismantling her.
Dismantling it.
Of course, Ponko would fit. All Prosecutor Blackwell had to do was dismantle it. Once taken apart, The robot could easily have fit inside the rolling case.
It sounds rather violent, but Mr. Wright does have a point there.
Objection!
Except that when there was a body on the table where the robots are dismantled and assembled, there would have been no room to take the robot apart.
Objection!
But what if it wasn't done on the table? What if the katana was used instead?
You mean the sword?
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Blackwell, I'd like your opinion as a woman of science. Is it true that the katana could have been used to take that robot apart?
I suppose so. The joints aren't made of a very tough material. A blade could slice through them.
Thank you for your expert opinion, Miss Blackwell. Thanks to you, we now know. The existence of the severed arm in this photograph proves that Ponko was taken apart. In addition, the rest of Ponko was not found at the scene, so we can conclude that the true meaning of this photo is very different from the original interpretation.
You can't mean...
That's exactly what I mean. The photo does not capture the moment of the murder. Instead, it is instead a picture of the moment after the robot was sliced apart. The blood you see where the arm was cut off and transferred there by the bloody katana. Most likely the rest of Ponko is scattered around Prosecutor Blackwell's feet.
Not hearing this.
Therefore, what was transported inside that case was not the defendant, but a robot. Miss Sykes was never at the scene at the time of the murder.
Yeah. My head, my body. Where am I? Yeah.
Order in the court.
It's true that Ponko was found in pieces after the murder. And I'll admit I repaired her myself afterwards.
Yes, I'm finally making some progress. Hopefully I've gotten at least one step closer to proving both Cena and Prosecutor Blackwell innocent.
Objection!
Well played, Mr. Wright. You've made your point abundantly clear. I concede that it wasn't the defendant inside the rolling case, but the robot. Alright, what's going on here? It's never good when he plays things this straight.
The prosecution withdraws claim the defendant was carried from the scene.
Then where was she? No, Your Honor, my claim hasn't changed.
Objection!
But Ponko and Miss Sykes couldn't have both been inside that case.
Objection!
The notion that the case was used to carry Miss Sykes was Miss Blackwell's theory. I've been using a different opinion from the outset. Now I finally have the opportunity to voice my theory. Thanks to the defense. He's gonna say Athena programmed the robot to do it.
Yep.
Edgeworth has been one step ahead of me this whole time.
In that case, how do you propose the defendant left the crime scene? He never entered it in the first place.
Simple. The footage only shows Prosecutor Blackwell from behind. What's more, he's holding his arm in front of his body. That's just how people walk, dude. So he's holding his arm in front of his body, as if he were holding on to something or someone. Athena's not that small, and he's not that big. That's hardly evidence. I have proof. The silk coat of Prosecutor Blackwell was wearing. The victim's blood was found on the front of it, and the stain had a highly distinctive shape.
I'm not saying, with a distinctive shape. Please continue, Prosecutor Edgeworth.
7 years ago, the defendant was known to consistently wear a certain item, of which there is only one in the world, a special pair of headphones made just for her. She always wore. Oh, this is. Wood's talking about him again. Analysis showed the bloodstain to be the exact same shape as those headphones. In other words, this was no mere blood splatter. The blood went from the victim's body to the headphones, and then was imprinted onto Prosecutor Blackwell's coat like a stamp.
A most gruesome stamp indeed.
Blackwell carried Miss Sykes, who had been hit by a splatter, away from the crime scene. This proves that Athena Sykes was, without question, present at the crime scene. And that concludes the prosecution's argument. Ah!
Order. If the defendant was indeed at the scene, it deepens the suspicion against her.
Objection!
We've also shown that the robot was there at the scene as well.
Objection!
I hope you're not making the ridiculous claim that a simple robot was the real murderer. I really think that, no. But you can't say the possibility isn't there. Detective Fulbright, was the robot questioned at the time? No, I don't see any record of it. I believe it was considered unrelated to the case. But as it turned out, the robot was actually integrally related. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Ponko to the stand. You called it, Earl. You called it. Adrian was like, let's bring the robot to the stand.
I knew they were going to do it because they're recognizing the coat, right? A robot witness. Order. Order in the court. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you think about this?
Mr. Wright has called all manner of witnesses to the stand over the years. He called a parrot many years ago in a case I was involved in. So, you know, I've seen worse. So why not a robot? Nothing surprises me anymore with him.
Very well. I will allow the witness. Bailiff, please summon the robot named Ponko.
Witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is not Witness. My name is Ponko. Yes, I realize that. But when you are at the witness stand, you are the witness. No, I'm not. I'm Ponko. Say it with me. Ponko. What an utterly inflexible little robot. You're the last person that should be calling anybody inflexible.
Haha, you remind me of my grandchild who just learned his own name. Oh, how precious.
Alright, Ponko. I'm going to ask you some questions. Questions? You have questions? Hooray. What are your questions? I want to know if you were there at the scene of the murder of Metis Sykes. It was 7 years ago, on the 7th of October, around 2 p.m. in a robotics lab. Certainly. Just one moment. Searching data. Search complete. Yes, I was there in the robotics lab.
Oh.
It would seem that this robot's testimony is necessary to the case after all. It's great. I just knew Ponko must have seen something important.
A murder committed right before this poor little girl's eyes. It's inexcusable.
Check seems ready to adopt Ponko as another grandchild.
So, little Ponko, do you think you can give us your testimony today?
Didn't double click over it. I went to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Mentress. Then Mommy Menace fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything. After I charged up, I was cleaning a room, and Mr. Simon came in. And then an error occurred. There is no data from after that point. So how come they don't have record of Athena going there?
You think they would with the camera, right?
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, she was there before he got there. Well, it sounds like the defendant was, without a question, at the scene. However, it doesn't appear that the witness saw the actual moment of the murder.
I disagree. The testimony shows that the defendant did indeed commit the crime. What? At the end of the day, we must have forgot that this witness is still a machine. Being a robot, its understanding and capacity to express itself are limited.
So, what are you suggesting?
This witness's statements need to be interpreted. For example, the term hugged and then later fell down. Adults don't usually fall down after being hugged by a child.
They don't, but...
Yes. What this witness's statements are telling us is that the defendant stabbed the victim with the murder weapon during this moment. What? Before Miss Sykes hugged Dr. Sykes, did the two of them converse? Yes, they did. They spoke to each other very loudly, but I don't know what they said. Athena's usually so quiet, so I was surprised. Spoke very loudly. We can interpret this to mean they argued.
I see, murder after a heated argument. I know the victim fell down? I agree that it does sound like a reasonable interpretation. However, Ponko doesn't seem to remember anything that happened after that.
When I'm recharging, I go into sleep mode. But I remember everything before that. I have a very good memory. You may as well defeat now, right? A cross-examination would be useless. Don't be ridiculous. Cross-examination is never useless. You should know this about me by now, Edgeworth. Until now, think about it. Robots don't lie.
They have human emotions, though. These ones do.
This robot is both an important witness and valuable evidence at the same time. Nevertheless, I will have my cross-examination. I see you haven't changed. You never were one to worry about wasting time.
Very well, even if it may be a waste of time, you may proceed, Mr. Wright.
I'll show you both just how fruitful any cross-examination can be. I don't think this matters.
Yeah, he went to there to recharge, but didn't get to recharge. So something was blocking the recharge station.
Well, he did. Ponko did get to recharge. He did mention that.
Hold it!
But he said just as about I was about to charge up.
Hugged her, which Edward took as means stabbed and murdered. You said the two of them were talking before Miss Sykes hugged her mother. Is that right? Yes, they were talking very loudly, but I couldn't tell what they were saying. Couldn't tell, even though they were speaking so loudly. I'm only allowed to listen to voices that are directed at me. If it listened to every voice, it would be a little better than a mobile eavesdropper. Well, that explains why some of Ponko's testimony is so vague. It's a shame that her little friend wasn't listening. However, we could have learned what they were talking about just before Dr. Sykes was killed. Now then, what happened after that?
Hold it!
I don't want to delve too deep here, but could you tell us how the victim appeared and acted at this moment? Mommy Metis was very surprised when she was hugged. I heard her heart pound. Her heart? Mr. Wright, have you forgotten about this document we found in the robotics lab? These robots have a heartbeat detection system. Now that you mention it, I do remember something like that. You detect the presence of people by the sound of their heartbeats. So we just asked Ponko, like, hey, before, up until the point you started charging, could you feel her heartbeat?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. That means Dr. Sykes really did die at this moment. Ponko, how's Dr. Sykes after she fell down? Could you still hear the sound of her heartbeat? Let's see. The moment she felt her heart was pounding. After that, I don't know. I started recharging just then.
Shit.
All the unlucky timing. If it heard anything after that, it could have possibly proved that the hug wasn't the actual moment of the murder. I'm very sorry. I'm afraid I don't know. I'm very sorry. The robot is designed to go into sleep mode automatically, so it can't be helped. But it does appear it detected an increased heart rate at the moment of the stabbing. That doesn't make sense, though. If you get stabbed, wouldn't your heartbeat go down from blood loss?
No, it would accelerate, right? Because your body's going into survival mode. Eventually, it will slow down, though.
Yeah. Their mommy Metis' heart started pounding in surprise. She fell by the window. By the window?
By the window?
There we go. It was a round window on the workbench side of the room. Wait. The different side of the room.
Yeah, it's the complete other side, so someone had to move her.
Workbench, huh? Pokemon wants to talk about the table to the right of where the giant robot is now. There's something critical in Punko's statement, is it? Yep.
Yep.
Your Honor, I believe this statement is critical. I'd like it added to her testimony.
Very well. Ponko, could you please add that statement to your testimony? That's a good little girl.
Mommy Menace fell down near the round window on the workbench side of the room.
Yeah, present the photo.
Objection!
Ponko, your statement may have just inspired a breakthrough. It was helpful? Hooray. I am so happy. Just to be sure, let's go over it again, okay? The victim fell near the window on the workbench side of the room. However, her body was discovered on the operating table.
But the operating table and workbench are two different locations.
Exactly, Your Honor. You just learned a new crucial fact. Could explain the two very different locations of the body. I'll tell you what. The victim moved.
Yep.
Because what? Athena couldn't have moved the body. She was just an 11-year-old child. You think she could lift up?
Implausible.
An 11-year-old girl couldn't have moved a heavy body of an adult. So the only explanation is that the victim walked to the operating table herself. In other words, when Punko observed near the workbench, couldn't possibly have been the movement of the murderer. couldn't possibly have been the moment.
I'm very relieved to hear that. Glad to know that a murder wasn't committed in front of little Ponko here. How about Athena?
Yes. As you just heard in the testament, Miss Sykes hugged her mother. Nothing more.
Objection!
Right. It's been 8 years, but you're still just as green as ever.
Green? But I can't recall ever seeing Mr. Red in anything but a blue suit.
Hey, blue's my favorite color. What can I say? If the defendant couldn't move the body herself, she could have had it moved for her. Miss Sykes and Dr. Sykes were the only ones there. I agree. Since the robot is equipped with a heartbeat detection system, it would have been aware of another person's presence if someone else had been there. We can therefore conclude that the defendant and the victim were the only ones present.
Then who do you suggest moved the body?
Don't you know it's the nature of a robot to help people do things? Miss Panko. Oh, good grief, Edwards. Allow me to ask you a question. My name is Panko. Say it with me. Panko. I believe you said you were cleaning after Dr. Sykes fell down. Did you happen to move something large onto the operating table? Yes. Yes, I did. Athena asked me to. What? Athena asked you to.
And what did you move, little Ponko?
I don't know. Unless something has an ID tag, I can't tell what it is.
An ID tag, you say?
So anybody could have had that card.
Yep.
Yes, a tag with a barcode on it. We robots scan them to tell what a thing is. The paper in the lab did mention something about that. Recognizes people by scanning their spacesuit or uniform jacket ID tag, it said. So it would appear that Miss Panko here can't identify what is moved. My name is Panko. But we humans have the power to imagine what it was, do we not?
We do.
Well, I do at the very least. Miss Panko, on the defendant's command, move the body to the operating table. That doesn't hold up. I don't think that holds up because if Dr. Sykes is stabbed on the other side of the room, there would have been traces of blood over there.
Does she have an ID tag in her body when she's laying down? Doesn't look like it.
Wait, what's that little... There's a little hole under her arm. You see that?
Yeah, I do.
That little hole up there. What the heck? Like, what is that? Still curious what that is. Uniform jackets ID tag. She's not wearing the jacket.
Yeah, it's off.
So the ID tag's probably on the jacket. Which if she didn't have the jacket on, like, Ponko, did you really move Dr. Sykes' body? This is really important. There isn't any way you could tell her? Tell? I don't know. It's not an ID tag. I can't tell. Give it up, right? If the victim's heart was stopped, the robot's detection system would be useless. Furthermore, Dr. Sykes Usually wore her right coat while she was working. She kept a jacket with her ID tag on it draped over a chair in the robotics lab. Then why is it on the floor?
I think Athena did move her there. And here's why. Athena mentioned that she had no way to tell the difference between robots and humans, right? You agree with that?
Athena herself? Or
Yeah, Athena meant herself when she was a kid that she can't tell the difference between robots and humans.
she thought it was a robot or something? What?
No. Okay. If she thinks Ponko is human, and the mother puts Ponko in the table, and the table fixes Ponko right away, she tried to put her mom on the table.
I get it.
That's what happened.
And only wore it for special occasions. In other words, the victim wasn't wearing her ID tag at the time. From the robot's point of view, her body was simply just another object.
Objection!
But Ponko was equipped with a facial recognition system. If she really did move the victim, she would have recognized the body as Dr. Sykes. But she didn't, so that means
Objection!
a face can easily be covered with a cloth, or a mask, or anything of that matter. With her facial features hidden, the robot wouldn't be able to tell it's Dr. Sykes. Yeah, he's right. To summarize, Miss Sykes stabbed her mother near the workbench. Then, using the robot, she moved the body to the table where she removed the sword and was stained with blood.
Order. But if that's the case, then I have a question. Why did the defendant move the body to the operating table in the first place?
You want to reason? Very well. You can't possibly have an explanation. Your emotions blind you to the truth. You could learn a lot from our robot friends. Calm and rational thought will open your eyes to the truth in front of you, Mr. Wright. Now then, do you remember the operating table, one special feature?
I believe I read that robots can be assembled and disassembled there, isn't that right?
That's right. And to the defendant, who was just a child at the time, the table was like a magic box that could make robots appear or disappear in seconds. Yes, he did. Athena put her on the table to try to fix her. Can't possibly be suggesting. This young, sheltered girl had a difficult time distinguishing robots from people. But take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up. But take a look at Miss Ponko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who'd bandaged it up like that. No way. I refuse to believe it. Miss Sykes made a childish, naive, and cruel mistake. She thought that if a robot could be disassembled and vanished without a trace.
Prosecutor Edgeworth. If you're about to claim what I think you are, I demand that you word it as delicately as you can.
With all due respect, Your Honor, all I can do is present the truth as it stands. The reason the defendant moved the victim's body to the operating.
Hold it!
No, don't say another word. Just stop. was to dismantle the evidence so that she could get away with her crime. That can't be true!
Order. Order in the court. Order in the court, I say.
Edgeworth. She was just a little kid. How can you say such a horrible thing? Horrible? Just like I said, you're as green as ever. I came here today as a prosecutor to seek only the truth. No more, no less. My theory is simply the result of rational consideration of every possibility.
Objection!
You're missing a possibility, though. But dismantling isn't the table's only function. It can make repairs as well. It's conceivable that Miss Sykes moved her mother to the table in order to fix her. I suppose that could be another way of interpreting it. But dismantle or repair, it doesn't matter either way. What do you mean? After murdering her mother, Miss Sykes may have come to her senses. Perhaps she didn't want to make it appear as if it had ever happened. And that's why she tried to repair her mother. Yes, that's one possible explanation. But we mustn't forget the facts of this case. The victim was observed to fall down after being hugged by the defendant. And the body was moved per the defendant's command. These two facts that indicate the defendant's guilt, remain unchanged. This just can't be true.
Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence to refute the prosecution's claim?
Evidence? Right. Let's see. Can't think of any. I'm afraid I don't have any evidence. Since becoming chief prosecutor, I've learned that the truth isn't always pretty. Now accept the truth, Mr. Wright. Your subordinate murdered her own mother. Your Honor, the prosecution demands a verdict. The hostages have suffered enough.
What a terrible and tragic conclusion. If the defense has no counter-argument, I see no need to further prolong this trial.
Edgeworth's argument seems solid enough. But there's no way Athena could have ever done anything like that. What do I do? There has to be something. But I can't think of a single thing. Objection!
Apollo? Blackwell?
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell. Another voice for Shiro to do.
This is quite the farce you are conducting here. I could die from laughter. Prosecutor Blackwell, what are you talking about? What am I talking about? What I'm talking about is your argument is based on an entirely false premise. Go on. We're listening. Could this be the miracle I need? What is Prosecutor Blackwell trying to pull here? 7 years ago. For 7 long years. This case has been on my mind. Not for an instant did I not think of it. I'm the one who killed my mentor, and I don't think you can alter that fact now. Your boldness, I will take to the stand, and I won't take no for an answer.
Of course, Prosecutor Blackwell. Please go ahead.
So what is he gonna say? Also, how long until he breaks the chain?
Not long.
I went to the Cosmos Space Center with the intention of killing Dr. Sykes. But when I got to the robotics lab, I found Athena there instead. I would not be swayed from my purpose, so I waited for Dr. Sykes to return. And then I committed the act. Ah, how cathartic it was. So he's saying he's saying that she wasn't there. Because he basically what he's saying is he got there and Dr. Sykes wasn't there, but Athena was.
And then they waited. The little Ponko here witnessed the victim falling. In other words,
Objection!
I don't need any of your other words, old man. I can guess what happened.
which would be
She fell. Means she fell. Merely that. A mother and a child fooling around. Perhaps she tripped. Not that it matters. When I entered the lab, there was no trace of Dr. Sykes' head to be seen. There was no dead body either, of course. Meaning she must have left the room.
So the murder occurred after the time period Ponko described in her testimony?
You should hardly take stock in that word of wind-up toy.
Objection!
Then how do you explain the fact that the defendant had a robot move something? Cena was always tinkering with robots on the operating table to amuse herself. And she always had Ponko move heavy ones for her. That day was no different. Ponko moved a heavy robot for Athena. It's awful. What he's saying seems to make sense, and yet...
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, are you trying even now to turn away from the truth? Do you realize we could bring the dark age of the law to a close today?
Objection!
You expect too much from me. I'm just a murderer beyond redemption. Why don't you just let me go so I can settle down to hell? Prosecutor Blackwell's execution is tomorrow. Truth doesn't come out now. It's all over.
Are you saying that the little girl and the robot had nothing to do with the murder?
That's right. So let's hear your verdict. If we don't hurry, I might miss the ferry across the states.
Apollo, wait. Don't you dare, Judge. Don't forget, I have hostages over here.
So what? Judge declares Athena not guilty. You're just gonna kill the hostages? Like, that's not how this works.
And Simon, how long are you going to cover for her?
Miss Blackwell? Forgive me, Ora. I never wanted you to do anything like this for me. But you agreed to this trial. If you have a counter-argument, then present your evidence. That's the rule of the courtroom. Isn't that right, Chief Prosecutor? Blackwell, you selfish...
Well, to be frank, I don't like this, but it's my duty to make a decision. If no one has a counter-argument, I will announce my verdict.
Is this really happening? Is it really going to end just like it did 7 years ago? Can't let this happen. But just don't have the evidence to counter Prosecutor Blackwell's testimony. Mata!
Apollo, finally?
Cena? Yep. We got a mood matrix. It's the only way. Mood matrix is the only way here. Cena, what are you...
How is she out?
How are you feeling? Well, she's probably just in the defendant's antechamber.
Yeah. I can hear it. I can hear the voice of his heart. He's hiding something.
Mood matrix. If he really is, sure, Athena. I'm sure I could use Athena's help. The power might just be the thing to get us through this.
Objection!
Sykes don't know. He's like, no, don't you turn that machine on me. Don't you do it. I will cut you down. I'll break these things and cut you down real quick. No need for you to come in here. Just accept you're innocent.
Objection!
These past 7 years, they've been just as hard on me, you know?
What are you talking about?
Do you remember that horrible, horrible trial? Please, you have to listen to me. He didn't kill her. His heart is screaming that he didn't kill her. Even now, every time I stand in a courtroom, it comes back to haunt me. Not being heard no matter how hard you try. Feeling so helpless. Caught in people's stares, so scared that it feels like your chest is in a vice. I'm terrified of courtrooms. I want to run out of that door even now.
You found a way.
And yet you found...
And yet you found a way to
Damn
keep
it.
your fears at bay, and became a lawyer.
This day has finally come, the day I've been looking forward to with all my heart. This is why I became a lawyer. This is why I studied psychology. It was all to save you from this false conviction.
But Miss Sykes, do you realize what it would mean? You were the accused, after all. If you prove Prosecutor Blackwell innocent, then...
The only thing that matters is the truth. It's my duty to find out what that truth is. Simon, please give me this chance. The chance to shake off this fear that's been with me for 7 years and to face the truth.
Athena has been so brave, confronting her past like this. I'm seriously wondering, it's like, why is Blackwell hiding the truth? Like, why is he so accepting of the sentencing, but he also still wants to find a truth? Like, it's weird. Might really be the last chance to save both of them. Prosecutor Blackwell, please testify one more time about the incident 7 years ago. Fine. But your efforts will surely be in vain. For I am not the man who can be cut down easily.
Here we go, Simon. Let me hear the voice of your heart.